What's up, Trab? How goes it? So, welcome to Pages of Ascension. Welcome back if you've been kicking it with me for a little bit. This is going to be our midweek check-in for, and I'll actually date these because they're the midweek check-ins. I did not think about this before I press start. For September 8th through, that's right, September the 14th, 15th, 14th. 14th. It's been a long day. Don't judge me. So, like I said, this is going to be your midweek check-in. So we're just going to take a little peek and see what the week is looking like for everybody, what the energies are, what we can expect the remainder of the week to look like. And this week it's very interesting as well because we do have that full moon in Pisces coming up. And then, of course, there's all the planetary energies and stuff, and Saturn's about to go direct. And whoo, hot damn. Okay, so energies are generally speaking very, very interesting. When I was going through, my pre-shuffle, and mainly the pre-shuffle for me is just kind of clearing the deck and activating it and concentrating on the intent for me pulling the cards, and I do that with every single reading, including the readings for myself. I just shuffle and shuffle and shuffle and shuffle and shuffle. I just spare y'all with that. So in any case, we are not taking all those. So yeah, we're going to check in and see what things are looking like, okay? So, now that those are ready to go. Okay, so we've got the card called Ouija board, which stands for caution. So that's very interesting. We have runes, which is perception. And then we have illumination, which is the candle. I gotta say, this particular combination is very, very intriguing. It almost reads like a sentence. It's, caution in your perception. Something is actually about to be illuminated to you that you haven't been fully aware of. And that message has been coming up a lot collectively. I want to say especially for what is it, earth signs and water signs, I think specifically. That's been a consistent message for the last, I don't know, like 2 months or something like that. And it's popped up for fire and air as well, but they're on, generally speaking, the groups of air and fire are dealing with separate things than the earth and water people are. So, interesting. What's sticking out the most to me is perception. And the interesting thing about perception is that perception can skew our perspective. Okay? How we perceive something to be can directly control how we process what's coming at us, right? So say that you look at someone and your perception of them based on something that they've said or that someone else has said that they've said, is that, okay, this is a person who, they're a user and they're a thief. Okay. And this is based on, just a perception, not even any actual truth. And this, this card does tap a lot into implicit bias, and everybody's got implicit bias, and that's legit a whole separate type of video. I'm not going to go into that. Matter of fact, there's probably a bunch of really awesome YouTubers who've already covered that subject, but just to give you a Reader's Digest version of that implicit bias, it comes down to say growing up, you dealt with, certain type of people, whether from a religion, a cultural background, or whatever, and, maybe you heard that these people always do this thing, and that thing is bad and hurts people like you because of such and such and such. Okay, and I'm totally oversimplifying here. So every single time you meet someone from that background, from that culture, it's you automatically think, oh, well, I know that these people do this and this is how it affects, people like me. So I'm not going to deal with that person because, this is what always happens. That's implicit bias. That's a perception. It's a faulty perception, even, actually. And so what's really coming out to me with these three cards is that you need to re-examine the things that you hold true right now, whether that's something that's been, information or a thought form that's been passed down through the family that can kind of tie into ancestral curses. If that is something that actually speaks to you, I've already did a video on that. It was the new moon video. I don't remember what sign it was for. Maybe it was Leo. I don't know. Look in previous videos and you can find it, but that's actually something that I addressed in that, and that actually has a lot to do with this. And the fact that we're coming up upon this full moon, I don't think that that's no accident. So in any case, what this is telling me is that, like, you need to be very careful in how you're thinking, how you're speaking, how you're even approaching things. Like, again, there's something that you don't know, and that's illumination would not come up unless there was something that needed to be illuminated. It's like the justice card in tarot. The justice card does not come up unless there is an injustice that has occurred. So I mean, if you really think about it, the need for justice, or the screams of the need for justice, comes from a perceived, okay, injustice. So this actually could have something to do with that. You could feel like you've been singled out, or that something is happening to you and it shouldn't be, that you're completely not at fault. And it could be that your own internal dialogue, how you're thinking, again, your perception in this situation could be completely faulty. It could have been that perhaps you're on the chopping block for something because of something you did, something you said. Okay, again, perception. So I want to look at each of these with my trusty tarot deck, but I actually want to dig into, this is a card that actually, like, I play with these cards all the time. This is not a card that has come up before, so I actually want to hop into the book on this one and see what the author's intent was for this card. There we go. Shit. Okay. Wow. Wow. I wonder if this is about that same stuff that I was picking up 2 weeks ago. So there's a reading I did called Forewarned is Forearmed, and that one's been like sitting in the back of my mind for some time because I still don't, the things that the themes that presented themselves in the reading was very concerning. It wasn't particularly pleasant energy. I almost didn't post it at all, but it's like the message came through for a reason. Obviously someone needs it. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. It says, back away quietly from this situation. Even though an offer may be tempting, underlying issues have yet to rise to the surface. So look deeper into the situation before you take any action. Once you have uncovered all the facts, you can decide if you should take the plunge or withdraw as fast as you can. The Ouija board is a very reliable tool. I'm not going to elaborate on that. If you know how to use it, okay, at least they followed up with that, both correctly and wisely. I don't mess with Ouija boards. But if you are in unfamiliar territory, then leave what you do not understand alone. You are invited to pull another card to assist you with your next step. So it goes on to say, seek expert advice, retreat. Don't dabble in what you do not understand. Someone is not all they seem. Put psychic protection in place each day by surrounding yourself with white light. Trust your intuition. Okie dokie. So, in true form, on this channel, we're going to pull another card. Because, yo, I feel like this has something to do with that reading. I might actually have to go back and watch that reading myself. Just because it's been an interesting couple weeks. Yeah. Okay. I guess that's our card. Affirmation. Interesting. Okay. Oh, snap. Okay. I'm kind of seeing what's going on here. So, when I looked at this card initially and it said affirmation, I was thinking, oh, like saying an affirmation to yourself, something you say to yourself every day, like a mantra, right? And then not noticing this on the bottom, I'm totally not showing y'all any of these cards. I'm so sorry. Okay, so there's affirmation. Okay, and then what's tripping me out right now is the bottom of the deck, which is interpretation. Oh my God. Okay, so if this is a scenario where, oh man, there's this might be what I'm picking up is this might be someone out there who is actually doing some kind of spell work and say that the spell work that they're doing is not necessarily in their native language. Okay, there's something about how you're interpreting this particular spell that just back away from it. Just back the fuck away from it. Like, seriously. Back away, back away, back away. Back away. Okay, wow. Okay, so that's kind of my first perception of these, and I'm not gonna keep this card, but that's a message for somebody out there. If you're trying to do some type of spell work or chant or something, and it is in a language that is not your own, you are not interpreting the spell correctly. You need to back away from the spell. Or at least seriously consider what you're doing. Okay? No judgment. So, affirmation. Okay, so yeah, this is saying to affirmation. Something about what you're saying to yourself. What did I just say about perception? Okay, so it's like it's something in the language, something about the way you're going about this is I just keep hearing back away, back away, back away, back away. That's a very strong message for someone. So I'm thinking that's probably for like one person who may cross this video who's trying to do something very specific. Don't. Just don't. Literally, it's saying don't. Affirmations are great, but at the same time too, it's your perception. of those affirmations, what they're going to do, what they're meant to do. Any case, let's move on. Let's see if another storyline emerges. I hope it does. I hope it does. Please don't let these midweek check-ins always be this. It's like 15 minutes deep and we're only talking about one person here. This is definitely only, I'm so sure that this is only one person. That was a bad shuffle. I'm not keeping those. All right, what can you tell me more about this combination right here? I'm going to pull the rest of the cards because right now I'm trying to decide, figure out exactly what this is about. Interesting. Okay, now we're starting to get into more of that ancestral stuff. All right, one more, please. And normally I don't do this. I'll go through each card individually. But, I don't know. These are turning out to not be very traditional readings. So, rolling with it. Rolling with it. Ooh. Okay, so it's not on the table, but what I am picking up is that you're going to have a message coming through from a water sign. It's a new beginning that you managed to manifest in something. It's not giving me love. It's not telling me what it is. This is actually feeling very, very spiritually inclined. Interesting. Okay. So the question I'm hearing being posed is, what is your Eden? What's your Eden? What is your ultimate happy place? The thing that you visualize, you know, more than just a space. Like, what's your utopia? That's actually a much better way to describe it versus your Eden. What's your utopia? So your perception of what it is that would truly make you happy, would truly bring you to center, would truly make it so that you don't have to struggle, you don't have to be in this wounded healer, excuse me. No. I was right the first time. Wounded warrior state of mind. What is it that gets you here? You see that? What gets you here? Oh snap. So this is actually this card has come out a lot because I use these cards a lot. And there's a lot of different animals and plant life. Like it's a beautiful forest. We've got lupins, we've got what looks like mountain huckleberries, and there's frogs and mice. And out of all the many, many times that I have looked at this card, I have never seen this owl at the top. Not once. But that led me to see something else. Do you see how the light is coming down across the castle from the direction of the owl? I'm sorry, I'm getting as best as I can to get up in here and not show you my janky nails. This is going to okay, so two things. This is either going to come as a form of very untraditional method of delivery of the information that you get, or it's going to be just something is going to trigger your download. Like, I definitely see this as a spiritual download. I mean, the cards that we've got on the table are insane, and I haven't even gone through them yet, so let me do that. We have the Emperor card, Priestess, Palace of Wands, okay, Nine of Wands, Tree of Life, right smack in the center of the reading, Palace of Coins, the World, Magician, King of Cups, Palace of Cups. So it's kind of like a very warm environment, but has very lush vegetation, and it's near water. If we're going for a location specifically here, because that's what the palace cards are to me. This is such a trippy ass reading right now, and it might be a little long, just because there's there's kind of a lot coming through. Hmm. Just wow. Okay, so right smack in the middle of the reading here, we've got the Tree of Life. So, as I've said many times, or at least a few times that this card has come up, um, my viewpoint of the Tree of Life of this card is likely going to shift the more that I learn about it, because this is still a learning process. It is something that I am learning, and quite frankly, depending on the frame of thought that you follow, this is a lifelong lesson in learning the Tree of Life. Okay. Um, but what this is telling me is like, it's like you are getting to a point this particular week where you can't take anymore. You don't want to take anymore. You've just kind of had it. You've reached that boiling point, that tipping point where it's like something has to change. Something has to give. It has to happen right fucking now. I've had it. This is the I've had it card. Screw this shit. I'm going home. you know? It comes off very intensely off that card. It's just, being brutalized over and over and over, and kicked and punched and smacked and just beaten down over and over and over, metaphorically speaking, okay, by the universe, by situations that are continually put in your path, by certain people who are continually put in your path, and you're just like, fuck this. you know get it? I've been there. And what you're not seeing, this is insane. What you're not seeing is that this is exactly what you were supposed to get to. This is the point that you were supposed to get to in order to affect some type of change. So what's really interesting about all the cards on my table right now, okay? It's freaking nuts, is that in each section, look at that. These two can be counterparts to me. And in my opinion, like, they both, well, the magician is kind of the magician. It's a lone wolf kind of energy for me. But when it comes to an energy, if the lone wolf were to say, um, you know, go into some type of partnership, it would be with someone who was like the high priestess, okay? The high priestess and the magician quite literally can change the freaking world. They're two energies for me as a reader, okay? So then when you add this tree of life card in here and the fact that it's being effectively nestled energetically in between the magician and in between the high priestess, this was fated. Whatever the situation is for you, where you have just reached a point where you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. There's quite literally greener pastures, that are more emotionally secure, more emotionally stable. Um, this was supposed to happen. Okay, this was supposed to happen. So, and part of this, you know, coming into light was the perspective shift. So it's like when you get to this point here this week for some of you, um, or whoever this resonates with, I should say, it's this energy that, feeling wounded and battered and broken and beaten down, that's what causes the perspective shift, okay? And once you get that perspective shift, then you get the illumination, okay? That illumination closes a cycle, a much needed cycle, okay? And it helps you to manifest what you're after, which is a place that's more, a situation that's more emotionally stable, a mindset that's more emotionally stable, someone who is literally in control of their emotions. Because if you think about it, the King of Cups, um, rules the Palace of Cups, as far as I'm concerned. That's where the King of Cups would feel the most happy and watery, is in a place like the Palace of Cups. They show it here underwater with light beaming down, and I consider that to be like downloads from the divine, intervention from the divine. It's presence of the divine, okay? Um, and I can, even though it's underwater, I consider that to be, the king. So it's like the King of Cups is in the water. He's not consumed by the water. Can y'all see that? You see all that water down there? He's not consumed by it. So, yeah, this is a brand new cycle. For a lot of you, this particular week, culminating in the full moon, or it could even say beginning with the full moon, this is actually triggering a brand new beginning, a brand new cycle. Like, the world card has been coming up a lot. Um, as I've been playing with the cards for, the last week, because I don't record every single time I play with cards. But it's something that's been coming up a lot. So it lets me know that collectively this is a theme. I don't know if that's the case with other readers, because I haven't been looking at other tarot readers at this time, other channels. I've been looking more at astrologers, just because I know that this particular full moon is going to be intense. And, I want the dealio, because it's in a sign that affects me directly. So, if that's the case, and some of you watching other tarot readers, like, if this world card has been coming up, comment down below. I'm just curious. I ain't got time to go through everybody's stuff. So, Okay, so back to this over here. Um, and this legit could be like three separate groups of people. Or the same person. I don't know. It's general. So, oh my god, excuse me. I'm sorry. Y'all probably heard that. Um, so with the combination of the Emperor, the Priestess, and the Palace of Wands, like I see this combination. Okay, so energetically speaking, the Emperor and the High Priestess would never be romantically involved, like ever. Okay. That's just the energy for me. The Emperor would be the person who consults the Priestess. Okay. So, um, what I'm seeing here actually is a balance of two energies. So, and I feel like this is of the self. This doesn't feel like another person is involved. This is coming into balance in something of yourself. This could be esoterically speaking. So, if you're somebody who has latent gifts that has been coming out that you haven't been able to control, this is a symbol to me that you are mastering. I mean, there is no higher energy really in the deck to represent a person than the Emperor. Okay. And esoterically speaking, there is no higher card or more potent card to me in the deck of tarot than the Priestess. Like the Priestess is probably for me the most powerful card in the entire deck, especially if so you're someone who has gifts. Okay. um but yeah, what I see is a mastery of this. This is a mastery of, you could say this is higher self and shadow side, but this feels way deeper than that. Like, if this is thought forms, you know, like, this is karmic. So it's like there's this lesson that you might have brought into this life with you. And for however long of a time, let me see, what kind of timing is it giving me? So let's say since spring. Yeah, let's say since spring that this has been, yeah. Sorry, I'm just double checking the timing on that. Actually, we could say since the beginning of the year, since the beginning of 2019, because it's almost been a full year or a full cycle, full seasons or whatnot. It's almost been through basically about a year. Okay. So it's like this last year, say you're someone who's been doing a lot of very intense spiritual work, trying to clear some type of karma. This could tap into ancestral karma. The Tree of Life is kind of giving me that vibe this time around, but not necessarily. Okay, this could be any kind of karma. This could be karma from things that you did that were, not of the highest vibration when you were a teenager, and you feel really guilty about that, and you want to make amends for that. Whew. Wow. I felt the sharpest pain in my stomach. So, for some of you, that's exactly what it is. You're trying to atone for something that you did from the past. That's what you've spent this last year working on, is trying to become that better version of yourself, trying to master yourself, mastering, the physical, and then because the way I'm holding these, I can't use that finger. So, mastering the physical and then mastering the emotional. Okay, the spiritual. I'm also hearing bipolar. So it could be that your meds are finally balanced and that's helping you feel more balanced. Um wow, we're already at 34 minutes. Okay. So this one's tricky, y'all, and it's kind of bouncing all over the place because I feel like for some of the people who may cross this is like a storyline of everything they've just gone through, and again, we're headed to the end of the cycle. new beginning, all that jazz, right? Because I mean, quite literally, hot diggity dog. Okay. So if you look at this for a second. We have the World card, the very last card of the Major Arcana, and we have the Magician, the very first card in the Major Arcana. This is a cyclical, this week is a cycle wrap up, okay? And that's a theme, at least astrologically speaking, that has been a theme, okay? That's been the theme of this whole fucking summer, is wrapping up karmic ties and making sure you close out everything that you're supposed to, so that when you enter this new cycle, when the wheel turns, you're entering a new cycle instead of entering a new cycle where you're repeating the same lessons. Thank you for letting me spit that out. Hot diggity. I did not notice that at first, but I mean, look at that. That's progression. That's the best freaking progression I think I've ever seen. Like, ever. Okay? That's freaking rad. This is a very spiritually inclined reading, and these ones tend to be a little trickier to communicate just because everybody ain't on the same level. Hot diggity. There's progression. Yeah, this is a closing out of a cycle. Pure and simple. 36 minutes later. I hope that this was helpful. Let's go ahead and pull the activation overarching theme. Oh, sucky now. So, we've got unconditional love. It's making a whole lot more sense now. So, it kind of feels like at some point, as you've been going through this process, you're realizing that the perception that, for some of you, you're realizing that the perception that you've had of yourself has been faulty. And it's been faulty because you didn't love yourself. So that is actually what I feel like this whole cycle of this whole year for a very large group of the collective has been about. And that's learning to love yourself, all of yourself, who you are, as you are right now. Not who you're going to be, not who you were, who you are right now. Okay? So, it's learning to love every last ounce of yourself. Figuring out if there are conditions that you weren't aware of and that these are being illuminated, it's figuring out why those conditions are there. What's the trigger for that? Okay? It's literally coddling this wounded child and then giving them a stern talking to about picking yourself back up and marching forward with your head held high. This is literally that, okay? And in some instances, and these cards aren't specifically on the table right now, but in some instances, unconditional love does mean that you have to remove yourself from something. And that's probably the hardest concept, I feel like, in unconditional love to integrate, is that sometimes it's necessary to leave. Love doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes love means leaving. You dig? So, wow. Holy friggin' cow. I did not expect that at all. That is deep, yo. That is super deep. Okay, so that's going to be it for the Midweek Collective. Midweek check-in for the collective, because we're legit at like 40 minutes now. 15 of that might have been me pausing and sighing and going everywhere on the table. This has been very, very interesting. But I do hope that this has been helpful for you, for those of you that really connected with this. Don't forget to give a thumbs up before you take off to the next video. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I do read each and every one of those and respond, even if it takes me a minute. So yeah, Have a wonderful week, y'all. Hang in there. We're almost through. We're almost to to the new week. We will all make it through this crazy Pisces full moon, okay? And we're going to come out of this on the other side much better. We got this. All right. Love you lots. Anything you could ever possibly want to know, down in the description box. I'll see you next time.